This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi everyone, Rusty back here with your latest Meteo Mundo forecast on this Tuesday, November the 28th. Hope you're having a great start to the day. If maybe you are new to our Meteo Mundo channel, I want to say thank you. Maybe you are searching YouTube for daily forecasts for the Caribbean and the Bahamas. Well, you have found that right here at Meteo Mundo. Coming up, we'll talk about all the different changes on the way for the Caribbean and the Bahamas, including some much cooler weather for some of you and some heavier rainfall opportunities as well. I can tell you this, regardless of where you are viewing me this morning, unless you're one of my friends who live north in the United States, you are warmer than I am. It is cold in Florida. We are in the 50s right now. We've got morning lows coming up the next couple of days in the lower 40s. Before we get started, I want to again mention the brand new video series coming right here to Meteo Mundo. It's called Worst Weather in the World. In this video series, I highlight the top 5 worst weather spots in the world each day. If you're a weather lover and you like the extremes, and there's a lot of extremes here across the planet, especially over the last few years, this is the video series for you. Again, this is in addition and separate from the daily forecast we do for the Caribbean and the Bahamas. But look for this. I'm excited about it, excited to share with you. It's called Worst Weather in the World, and that is coming your way soon. Okay, let's get into the forecast on this Tuesday. Again, a very powerful cold front with some much cooler air is working its way through Florida and the Gulf right now. This will impact places like the Northwest Bahamas and the Yucatan. Again, it's not going to get as far south as some of our areas. And by the way, it is a really warm start to the day in places like Aruba. Your morning low dipping down into the lower 80s at best. I mean, that is some pretty steamy air for this time of the year. So I know there hasn't been a lot of relief down towards portions of the Leeward Islands and the ABC Islands, but look at this here. Now, Freeport, it's going to get cooler, but you started off in the 60s this morning, and there is some chillier weather on the way with a brisk north wind. Now, the majority of that colder air is going to stay inland in the peninsula of Florida, but there are going to be some pretty big changes on the way. So looking at the satellite imagery, again, we have relatively dry air in place across most of the Caribbean right now here. Let me switch this time frame down a little bit lower loop-wise. And again, you can just see there's hardly clouds in the sky early on this Tuesday. As a matter of fact here, when I show you what's happening at the visible satellite imagery here, again, relatively fair weather cloud coverage across the area. A little bit of cloud coverage over portions of Jamaica towards Montego Bay and the Grill, but for the Lesser Antilles and Puerto Rico, it's a relatively sunny start to the day. Thicker cloud coverage and some really thick clouds with some moisture streaming over Mexico into the southwest Gulf of Mexico and along that front. And the combination of that moisture and that front moving through the southwest Gulf will provide some lift in the atmosphere. And this is going to be the bullseye for some heavier rain. It will drift across portions of the Yucatan, and then we'll get some scattered showers for the Bahamas and portions of Central America as well. But a beautiful satellite presentation there. Switching back over to the enhanced imagery and then looking at the water vapor loop. Again, just to note that in the Caribbean right now, the air is relatively dry. Let me switch back over to the water vapor imagery here after this shot. So again, the air here is relatively dry. All of that is painted in red. And again, let me drop the time frame here. We lost a couple of hours of satellite imagery really early this morning. So again, you can just see all that red, all that drier air. We're going to have pockets of rain developing, but there's not a lot of moisture coming in from the east, and that's going to be our wind direction here in the Caribbean over the next few days. Our winds are going to be those trade winds from east to west. Now, again, the moisture is abundant in the southwest Gulf of Mexico. You can see that blowing up. And if I zoom this back out, look at this moisture fetch coming in from the Pacific, riding up over Mexico, portions of the Yucatan, and then basically just streaming right over Florida right now. But all of this will drift its way off towards the south. So that's kind of the overall setup that I'm looking at on this Tuesday. Let's talk about what the rain is going to look like here over the next 5 days. So again, several different things to show you here. We'll start off with the reflectivity. And I was playing around with this a little bit earlier, but there's a couple things to look at. So again, I'm going to let this loop over the next 5 days. Now, the majority of the moisture in the southwest Gulf actually kind of rides along this front, which is going to be stalling out and moves back over Florida. It's going to certainly impact places like Cancun and Cozumel, and then portions of the Bahamas, but it's not going to be making a big drift to the south and east. We'll get moisture to develop here in places like Jamaica and the Cayman Islands to at least give us a few passing showers, but the majority of this activity is actually going to miss those areas to the north. We'll still get some moisture to stream into the Caribbean coastline of Central America, anywhere from Belize to Guatemala, and Honduras and Nicaragua and Costa Rica and even Panama. So those are the areas that highlight the best opportunity for showers. We'll get some spotty rain coming through the Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands and Hispaniola, but relatively speaking, we have at least a little bit in the way of some dry weather coming for you over the next 5 days. So let's get into some of the areas here. I want to start off again with what's happening here with the rain. We'll go into the rain here. And again, just a little bit closer view of this same model. And you'll continue to see that moisture impact places like Cancun and Cozumel. So let me zoom into those areas here. If maybe you have travel plans, maybe you're taking a cruise ship to these areas, maybe you're just enjoying the Yucatan over the next couple of days. Again, an opportunity for some showers here on this Tuesday. You can see that rain kind of just stick around for Wednesday as well. Relatively speaking, you should begin to dry out on Thursday through Friday and into Saturday. I can't rule out some showers late in the week, but that moisture should be lifting off towards the north. Now, for the rest of Central America, again, it's not really what's happening in the Gulf of Mexico. It's just more that we're going to be getting some moisture coming in from the Western Caribbean to provide some showers. It's mainly going to be coastal rain. So places like Belize City should have a higher chance for showers, say, than inland in Belize, like San Ignacio. Can't rule out a few showers inland in some of the higher terrain, but it's coastal showers that I'm mainly more, going to be forecasting here. Same thing, San Pedro Sula, La Chiba, Roatan will have a better opportunity for some rain than, say, Tegucigalpa there in Honduras, and then Nicaragua. Same thing, coastal areas of Nicaragua will have a better opportunity for showers compared to Managua, and we'll follow that down. Now, obviously, you get a little bit narrower towards Costa Rica and Panama, and the entire area will have the opportunity for a little bit more rain, Panama City on over towards San Jose. Okay, let's go over to the rain in the Lesser Antilles overall. Again, I had been watching some heavier showers in Trinidad the last couple of days, and I think we're going to get some spotty rain there. Now, the other thing about it, man, it has been very warm in the overnight hours here. Boy, those temperatures have been staying in the 80s in some spots. So not a lot of rain to cool us off. And this includes the ABC Islands as well. Again, limited opportunity for rain. I just showed you how the air is very dry. So basically, as I move up the island chain and I'm letting this model run over the next 5 days, you're going to see spots of rain. And we'll talk more about that coming up for the week ahead as well. With the easterly wind, the models are favoring kind of the east side of the islands for a little bit heavier shower activity. But obviously, we're not talking about large land masses here, but the models do kind of pick up on a little bit in that, orographic lifting mechanism there. If maybe you live on an island that has just a little bit higher terrain inland, you should expect the eastern shorelines to have the opportunity for a little bit better rain in those areas. And again, up towards Barbuda and Antigua and Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, all about the opportunity for a few showers. A little bit better chance Friday and into Saturday. It's going to be very area dependent for the British, U.S. Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico as well. Again, with an easterly wind, we're going to favor the eastern coastline here, Fajardo and Esperanza. And then, the eastern sides of the British Virgin Islands, St. Thomas, St. Croix, St. John, and the U.S. Virgin Islands as well. So I expect it to be relatively drier, say, in the western sides of Puerto Rico compared to the far eastern sides. And this easterly flow will continue into Hispaniola as well, where, again, I don't mind the fact that we're not getting a lot of rain for portions of Hispaniola with the heavier flooding rains that they saw just a little bit less than 2 weeks ago. But they are beginning to dry out, which is good news. And I've mentioned again that there's not a lot of rain in the forecast for Jamaica, Kingston, Montego Bay, Mandeville, Maypen, Port Antonio. We are having limited opportunity here. The air is just relatively dry at this point in time. So let's get back over to what's happening here. Let's see, let me switch to the rain wide, and then we'll zoom into the Bahamas, because the Bahamas is going to be a little bit different story. There's certainly rain opportunities, but the wind is going to be a big factor for you as well. So I'm going to switch over. The first thing I'm going to do is we're going to look at the wind gusts over the next couple of days. So putting this into motion, this is our high resolution HERM model here. This front coming in through Florida is going to bring us a northerly wind, and that is going to be kind of a factor for us here. As a matter of fact, I can actually throw on here the 10-meter winds as far as their vectors as well. So I'm going to take a look at that. Here, let me just throw that into motion. So again, you can see those winds. So again, you're looking at the arrows here, and the arrows show you, again, when they pop on, that's going to be a northerly wind. So it's going to be a brisk north wind. It is going to bring in slightly cooler air. The biggest thing it's going to actually do is bring in much drier air. It's been relatively humid here, but again, you can see there when these arrows pop on right there, those north winds will be ushering down. Now, this is all the way through tomorrow. So we're really going to be picking up north winds later on this Tuesday that'll be sticking around through tomorrow as well. Now, as far as rain chances go in this area here, let's switch over to the reflectivity product. There will be an opportunity for a few showers with this. The front is weakening though as it gets into the Bahamas. So kind of with the overcast conditions, I expect some lighter rain for places like Walker's Key and Grand Bahama and Abaco and Eleuthera and on over towards New Providence and Bimini. It's not going to be a lot as far as rain total go, but it's going to be relatively cloudy as well. So it's not going to be the best of days for today and into tomorrow. Skies should begin to clear as we go through the remainder of our Wednesday, and then we're looking a little bit better from there as well. But again, you can just kind of see spotty rain coming in with that front, but it's beginning to kind of fizzle as it moves through. Temperatures will certainly drop. Now, maybe morning lows won't be egregiously cool, but daytime highs the next couple of days in the Northwest Bahamas should actually stay in the 70s for daytime highs. So I want to also take a look at these vectors here of wind. I got to switch over to back to the GFS model here and then go back over to these wind vectors. I'm going to also lower this time frame just a little bit as well. But I just want to show you, and this is kind of a neat product this time of the year because we do get these cold fronts to come in. So you notice that this north to northeast wind on the model here through at least, let's say tomorrow, is able to work its way into the northwest sides of the Caribbean. That might spell a little bit in a drop in humidity for places like the Cayman Islands and Jamaica, even as far south as the Turks and Caicos, and of course portions of Central America and the Yucatan. There's going to be some rain there as well. But I mentioned that because, again, we need to try and cool things off in some of these areas. Now, for my friends in the rest of the Caribbean, again, it's a strong east wind with not a lot of moisture to play with here. It's just a solid east wind the next couple of days that will continue the same pattern that we've had here to start off the week. So let's take a look at some of the 5-day forecasts. For Nassau, breezy with a few showers for today, the high of just 78. Skies will clear overnight into our Wednesday. I expect a lot of sunshine, especially tomorrow afternoon, but a much cooler day, the high of just 76. 80 on Thursday. We will pick up a south wind throughout the Bahamas beginning on Friday, which is going to bring in more moisture, more humidity, and temperatures back into the lower 80s. We'll be watching some rain chances improve there. That should say Saturday at the end as well. For San Juan, the next 5 days, my friends there, again, limited showers, a little bit better chance on the eastern sides of the islands, but mainly dry weather. Daytime highs remaining in the upper 80s. We'll get a little bit better chance for a few showers Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. About a 30 to a 40% chance. Daytime highs, again, about 86, 87 degrees. Remember, in between these video updates, we are across social media. Get the latest across Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and our email as well. You just want those snippets of the forecast. This is where you can follow us. You can also send us videos and pictures on Instagram, also to our email address as well. So again, in between these YouTube video updates, make sure you find us across the social media platforms for the latest information. Again, you want to help out the channel, you want to continue to get these updates daily. Thank you very much for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing to Meteo Mundo as well if you're just finding us. I'll be back very shortly with the latest update across the Caribbean and the Bahamas. Until then, have a great day, friends, and I will see you soon right here at Meteo Mundo.